How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ethan Bridge. I'm host of the Social Media Marketing School podcast and the guy behind the Instagram page at The Marketing Ethan. Now, today I want to talk about Instagram engagement. I get a lot of DMs on Instagram asking me, Ethan, why on earth is my engagement dropping? Why am I not getting as many comments? Why is my reach not as high as it used to be? Now, obviously, everybody goes through peaks and troughs when it comes to engagement. 1 minute you're getting tons of engagement, the next minute it drops. That is just how Instagram works. It happens to the biggest accounts, it happens to the smallest accounts. I've been through it, you'll go through it, everybody else is going to go through it. But there are some specific reasons as to what may have caused a drop of engagement, opposed to just going through one of those peaks or one of those troughs. So, let's take a deep dive into some of those reasons as to why your engagement may have dropped opposed to how it used to be. So, without any further ado, let's jump right into the first point. Number one, and apologies for being very straight and to the point, your content may suck. If your content isn't very good, it's not going to perform. You may have previously been putting a ton of effort into your content. The quality was really high. Your message was on point. It was exactly what your audience wanted to see. But you may even think now that the content you've been producing the past week or so isn't up to the standard that it used to be. And you need to be honest with yourself at this point. Is your content as good as it was a few weeks ago when your engagement was really high? Because if it's not, that's going to be one of the reasons why your engagement has dropped. Those individuals that follow you 2 weeks ago were used to that really high level quality of content. But now 2 weeks later, you're posting something that's mediocre at best. They're going to be looking at that and going, okay, it helps, but nowhere near as helpful as what I was learning 2 weeks ago. So they may not engage with it because previously they were used to that much better quality. So as a creator, it's your duty, and I know it's hard, to keep up that quality. Now, I know a lot of us post daily, but if you have a day where you don't have many ideas or you feel as if the piece of content you're posting isn't good enough, don't post it. Not posting for one day isn't going to damage your growth in the long run. You need to make sure that the content you are posting is a high level of quality and that you would consume it yourself. Great pieces of content start with empathy. Would I do this? Would I consume that? Would that headline grab my attention? Would I read through that whole post? If the answer is no to any of these would I questions, why do you expect anyone else to do it? If you wouldn't consume your piece of content, nobody else is going to want to either. So start by looking at your content honestly when you create it and making sure that you would actually want to consume it and set your standards high. I'm not saying your piece of content has to be perfect because nobody is perfect. And if you spend all of your time trying to create a perfect piece of content, you're never actually going to finish creating a perfect piece of content. But it just has to be of a quality level that you would consume yourself. Because if you would consume it, somebody else would consume it. But that is point number one. Your content may have taken a downturn in quality, or you may not have even previously seen a spike in engagement. Your engagement may always have been low. That is primarily going to be down to the content you are putting out. If the content you are putting out isn't very good, nobody's going to want to engage with it because nobody's going to consume it. If they don't consume it, they're not going to like it. If they don't consume it, they're not going to reach your call to action that may be comment, or they're not going to want to add their 2 cents because, to be honest, they didn't get to the point where you provided the value because it wasn't interesting enough to begin with. So, point number one, your engagement may have dropped because the quality of your content isn't up to scratch. So moving on to point number two, and that may be because you aren't engaging yourself. When it comes to engagement, you have to give to receive, especially when you first start your page. You can't expect to be posting content every single day and as a result just yielding more and more and more followers. When you first start your page, nobody knows who you are. The algorithm doesn't know who you are, and therefore you're not going to rank on the explore page, you're not going to rank in hashtags. People won't just stumble across your page. You have to go and find your audience. You have to engage with their content, and when you consistently engage with other creators, that is when they start to repay the favor. They come and see your page. They see that you are creating great content if you're following the point I made in point 1, and therefore they are going to want to consume with your content. So to get that engagement rolling to begin with, you need to be making sure that you are engaging with other creators. But how does this relate into the fact that your engagement may have dropped? Again, a couple of weeks ago, you may have been engaging for 3 hours a day. You were reaching out to new people. You were engaging with current people. And now if you have a common engagement pattern and people are engaging consistently with your content, when you post a new piece of content, you are going to come to the top of their feed, because that's how the algorithm works. People are shown content that they consume and engage with regularly. But if you stop engaging with other people's content, it's likely that they're going to stop engaging with yours. So when you post a piece of content, it's not going to come to the top of their feed. And when content doesn't come to the top of their feed, it's much less likely that they're going to get to it and engage with it at all. So you have to keep up this engagement strategy until you get to a point where you reach that organic growth and you can begin to focus on other things, like increasing the quality level of your content. There comes a point, and you'll realize when you get to it that you have to start shifting that focus elsewhere, opposed to spending 3-4 hours engaging each day. But if you drop off the amount you engage early on, your engagement is going to drop off too, because you aren't giving as much in the first place to receive as much as a result. So reason number 2 for your engagement dropping, it's because you're not engaging as much yourself. Now moving on to reason number 3. Now I'm going to group multiple different things into this point because I feel as if they all fall under the same category. So number 1, in your post, you are not including a call to action. A call to action prompts somebody to do something after they consumed your post. With your post, you have grabbed their attention. You've done the hard part. But now you've got that attention, you don't want to lose it. You don't want these people to just consume your content and scroll on to the next post, because just scrolling on to the next post doesn't help you. But if you've got a call to action at the end of your post, and let's say you ask a question that relates to the piece of content you've just posted. Let's say you've made a post about Instagram growth, and at the end you ask the question of, what do you struggle with when it comes to Instagram growth? ? Comment below. That comment below is your call to action. That starts a conversation. That prompts people to comment. What are comments? They're a form of engagement. When you ask people to comment, they are much more likely to, and therefore your engagement is going to increase as a result. But if you aren't telling people through a call to action what they need to do, they aren't going to do it. It's human nature. Somebody won't do something if you don't tell them to do it. If I don't tell someone to comment, it's unlikely that they're going to. So just make sure that you are including that call to action and prompting that conversation. And that swiftly moves into my next point. Conversation starters. Conversation starters are everything. Asking that question prompts that comment, prompts that DM. But that comment that you are prompting them to start by asking that question is what leads to the conversation in the comments, which doesn't just have to be one comment. It can lead to multiple, but that's in my next point. But you get the message. I ask a question in every single post I create. When you ask a question, people are going to want to respond. People love to give their opinion. Social media is just a very opinionated place. So when you give somebody the platform to do it by giving them the opportunity to actually give their opinion, it's a no-brainer for them. They're going to comment. They're going to tell you whether they agree or whether they do it themselves or their experiences with what you've talked about. So start the conversation by asking that question, by opening it up, saying, what have been your experiences when you've tried this in the past? What do you struggle with to what I've spoken about? You get the point. By asking a question, you are prompting someone to leave a comment. A comment is a form of engagement. There you have it. But if you aren't asking them a question, they aren't going to comment. They aren't just going to come up with some random comment from the top of their head. You need to give them an idea of what they need to talk about. When you give them that idea, there's less of a barrier for them to actually want to engage. They don't have to think as much. We don't like to think too much. We like to be prompted to do things. It's just how we are. But now you've got them to comment in the first place. This leads on to my final point on this little group of points. You don't want to just close the conversation by saying, totally, I agree, or that's a great point, thank you for commenting, or love this with the 2 hands up emoji. You are closing the conversation instantly. You want to use this as the opportunity to keep the conversation rolling. You want to turn that one comment into 5 or 6. But this is a mistake I see a lot of people making. On the first comment, they will just put those one-liners with a full stop and not trying to encourage further questions. That person has already taken the time to leave a comment on your post. You can tell that they've engaged with the content that you've posted meaningfully, enough so that they've actually gone and left a meaningful comment. So then use that as an opportunity to open up the conversation to more responses, or even open up the conversation to more contributors, other people commenting. It needs to become a discussion. When you start a discussion in the comments, that is where you increase your engagement on your posts. But if you're not doing that, you're not going to be receiving engagement. If you close the conversation after the first comment, that's only 2. Their comment and your response. But if they comment, then you comment and ask them another question, or say, how have you found this? Or what do you think of this? What are your thoughts? They comment again. Now you can look at that comment and think, okay, how can I lead this into another comment? Or how can I bring other people into the conversation? That one comment has now turned into 4, 5, 6, maybe 10, 12, 15, you name it. All because you have opened it up, opposed to closing it as soon as they comment. So have a call to action, telling people to engage, ask a question so you give them that prompt of what they need to engage about, and then don't close the conversation. Ask more questions about the comment they have just left so that you can turn that one comment into 5, 6, or however many it may end up being. But you see the point. Keep the conversation open, you get more comments, you get more people involved, increases the engagement. If you don't do that, the engagement won't happen. Now, finally, a lot of people have been seeing a drop of engagement ever since Instagram Reels has been released. Instagram Reels are a new piece of content to the platform, and therefore the algorithm is favouring them at the moment. Instagram wants as many people using this content medium as possible. They want to take the market share from TikTok, so therefore they are encouraging content creators to produce more Reels so that they see a good result and then produce even more Reels. So Instagram is latching onto this, and every Reel that is produced, you're going to see a bit of a better reach. And this also means that when you're scrolling through your feed, there's a lot more content now. It's not just single photos, carousels and videos. You've now got Reels in there as well. So the amount of content that's actually being posted on Instagram is increasing. But then a lot of people say to me, Ethan, I'm seeing a drop of engagement at the moment. I believe it's because of Instagram Reels. Yes. And then I go to them, okay then, you're seeing this, so are you creating Instagram Reels? And 9 times out of 10, these people will say, no, I'm not. I don't like them. Or, no, I'm not. I don't know what to create. And then I go, okay, well, there's your problem. You can obviously see that the algorithm is favouring Reels at the moment. So why aren't you just taking advantage of that? You can easily substitute your drop of engagement by creating Reels. Reels are clearly being pushed. They're clearly being favoured. So take advantage of that whilst that is the case. Don't use it as an excuse as to why your engagement has dropped. Use it to your advantage. Reels aren't difficult to make. A carousel, if you are really into your design and you really focus on your copy, can take an hour to make if you haven't got the processes in place, such as templates, which then cuts that down. But a Reel's really quite uncut. They don't have to be really professional. It's something that somebody just scrolls through, watches. It's an entertaining 15 to 30 seconds. They scroll on. It can take you 15, 20 minutes to create a Reel. It's not hard. Just flip the camera, talk, add some overlay with the text and maybe some stickers to make it look a bit nice, add some music using the music feature, and you're done. It takes 15, 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be polished. But that Reel could then easily go and get 20, 30, 40,000 views. Not just your average reach of 1,000, 2,000 off of your generic post. They are incredible at the moment. And I'm going all in. I'm producing 3-4 Reels a week because I know that the opportunity is there. And that opportunity isn't going to be around forever. When carousels were first introduced, Instagram really favoured carousels. But now carousels have become really competitive. They're hard to succeed with. So all the time that Reels are pretty easy to succeed on, use that to your advantage. Don't get 6 months down the line and go, oh, I can't succeed with Reels. I've tried my hardest with them. I'm producing them every single day, but the reach isn't there. You missed the opportunity to get the best reach from Reels because you didn't want to, because you don't like them or they were too complicated. When they become mainstream on Instagram, you're going to kick yourself. So while the barrier to entry is low with Reels at the moment, use them to your advantage. Don't use them as an excuse as to why your engagement has dropped. Jump on Reels and just substitute the drop of engagement you're seeing on your generic feed posts with them. You can still post a feed post every day alongside a Reel. The Reel you can remove from your feed. You don't have to have it there. You can just have it in your Reels tab. So post 2 posts a day. And if you post 2 posts a day, you're obviously going to increase your reach. But because they only take 20 minutes to make, it's fine. So, final tip, jump on Instagram Reels. Don't use them as an excuse. Use them to your advantage. And that does wrap up today's video on why your engagement may drop on Instagram. As you can see, I'm a very, very new creator here on YouTube, so every little helps when it comes to smashing that subscribe button, hitting that like button, and turning on post notifications. That way you'll never miss an episode when I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I did just want to mention that this is a part of my podcast series, Social Media Marketing School. You can find it on pretty much any podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, Google, you name it. Just search Social Media Marketing School and you'll find it there. But the reason to actually subscribe to the audio version of the podcast is because these episodes are released a couple of days earlier on there, and then a couple of days later, they are released here on YouTube. So if you want to consume the content sooner, subscribe to the audio. If you prefer the video, stick here on YouTube. But if you've got any questions with regards to anything I've mentioned on today's video, just reach out to me on Instagram at @themarketingethan, send me a DM, and I'll be sure to get back to you. But I just want to finish off by saying, if you have made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.